Good day everyone and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be discussing One Piece chapter 1034 titled Sanji versus Queen. Plain out title so you know what this chapter is about. It's about throwing hands. So let's dive straight into it. Of course, spoiler warning. Before we begin, let's dive straight into the chapter. So it starts off with a cover page, and the cover page is a request, and basically the request was Usopp winning a prize for children at a shooting game at a festival, and basically he won a year's worth of juice for first prize because he's a sharpshooter, of course. Interesting enough, he has on one of those Japanese masks that we've seen time and time again in a lot of anime. If it seems familiar, the last time I think it was popular in people discussing it would have been Demon Slayer. So yeah, the swordsmiths wear those. So yeah, now first page we jump to the pleasure hall, the left tower of the skull dome, and basically we get in a bit of what's going on around Onigashima. So first of all, the pleasure hall, we see the lady who Sanji hit in the previous chapter. We get her name. Her name is Osome or Osome. We call her that. But essentially she looks okay now. And there where she is seems to be where Sanji and King was fighting or are fighting. And basically all of the ladies, they are telling her, you know, let's get away from here. You need to protect yourself, put yourself first. And she's like, no, she needs to find her pet, Chuji. So yeah, interesting. We then cut outside Onigashima and we see the island, and we get a bit of Momo, and Momo is just saying that basically because he's a dragon, he kind of grasps the concept of this cloud thing. He has a knack for it now. And basically what he's saying is, if I can't, you know, push the island back, the least I could do is hold up the island, because we see him holding on to Kaido's dragon clouds and kind of trying to pull it, but it doesn't seem to be working that much. But he says, you know, if he could just stop it from falling, he could avoid the big disaster. So we then cut to the flower capital, of course, and we see people partying, and my question is, with all this noise going on, how could they not know something going on up there? I mean, Luffy, Kaido, big explosions on the roof, big party going on out there, but I mean, the island is falling apart, debris probably falling. How could nobody look up and see this huge island in the sky? Anyway, we then get a quick cut to inside the skull dome. We see the beast pirates and the samurai still clashing. Nothing new there. We then get into the important part of the chapter, and we cut straight to Sanji and Queen now. I'm back to their fight. And it starts off with Queen using Sparking Queen. And when he fires it, Sanji's kinda, beams from his eyes. And we get a call back to Sanji's brother in one panel, Ichiji, because this is Ichiji's move, and he calls it Sparking Valkyrie, but Queen calls it Sparking Queen. Queen then proceeds to kinda light up. I guess it's electricity running through his body, and he looks up at Sanji and he extends his neck and he bites him, and he uses this attack called Henry Queen. Again, now we see this is a callback, but this is the same attack that Niji uses. And Queen is laughing and he's like, ha ha ha, you get it. And Sanji falls to the ground and Queen begins firing lasers again. And Queen says, basically he's like, I'm using GMR 66s or GMR 66s, whichever one y'all prefer, moves, and he was saving them up to use it against Sanji when he put on his raid suit. And the reason he was doing this is essentially he wanted to prove that he's a superior scientist to judge, and he wanted to use this against Judge's tech to see which is better. And essentially he's saying that these abilities are amalgamation of all of Judge's son's abilities and scientific tech, and I was able to copy it. So yeah, I could do just as well as Judge. That's what Queen getting at, because he's trying to prove that he's better, the better scientist. He then he then basically grabs Sanji, but before he does it, Sanji's like, I don't really care about your rivalry with him. Just leave me out of this. But Queen then goes on to say, I was playing dumb earlier, but the plain truth is, I've already researched and tested all of Jirma's science, and again, this is why he's able to copy all of the siblings' powers so far. So we see Niji and Ichiji, and now Queen grabs Sanji with his robotic arm, and he uses Winch Queen, which is Yonji's attack, Winch Guillotine. So again, more on him having all of the abilities. We then cut the Queen basically grabs Sanji, slams him on the wall and drags it all around the area and keeps him spinning, then not lets him go, but keeps him spinning into things, crashing him. Nothing really strong about that attack. I mean, it's just debris hitting Sanji at this point with Queen slamming him into objects. But Sanji loses it and kicks Queen in the extendable arm and breaks it. And he says basically, warned you before, stop mentioning their names around. So he pisses Sanji off, which leads to Sanji breaking his arm. And Queen calls him a snotty little brat. So Queen kinda but I'll be honest, Queen's been kinda underwhelming throughout this whole fight. But anyway, so Queen then asks Sanji, you keep telling me not to say their names, but what happened to free speech? There's free speech anymore? Sanji, still upset, uses an attack. He uses flans. It's kinda hard to pronounce. I'm not going to use that. I think it's flanchette, flare. Yeah, it's French. And he kicks Queen away. And basically Sanji's like, you see, you assumed you would always have the upper hand, but both of us have been fighting for a while. And that attack I landed on you earlier, that was the big one, I kicked him through the wall, seems to have done lasting damage on you. So we both banged up because we've been fighting for a while. But the difference is, I've accepted my fate and I'm not the same person who was fighting before in the life war. Queen smirks and disappears. And Queen says, then show me how different you really are. And this next ability is yours. This is Stealth Black. And essentially Queen has Sanji's ability now. So he turns invisible and he's around there hiding, waiting to attack. Sanji says, so you can copy that too, and then Sanji disappears. And Queen is shocked. We see Queen's shocked. And Queen is like, what? He disappeared? How? But Queen is like, he doesn't have on the suit, so he's not actually invisible. He's just invisible because he's moving very, very fast. So that means the moment he reappears, he'll probably be out of stamina or super tired, and that is where I will attack. So basically Sanji is flash at this point because he's running so fast you can't see him. We then see Osome, O-S-O-M-E, I don't know how you're going to pronounce her name, Osome. We then see Osome finding her pet, and it was a pet mouse, and Chuji is running towards her. And while she's about to do that, we see Queen sneaking up on her, and essentially this is because Queen has a grudge against her, because since Komurasaki died, she's been his number one that he's been calling on for her services, but she's been ignoring him. And he said even earlier today I called her, but she said she had a headache and she didn't show up. And now she's here looking fine and she's running down a mouse. Why is that? And Queen is like, you know what I'm gonna do for you? I'm gonna get revenge for that, because my divine punishment earlier wasn't enough, so I'll make you pay. I'll teach you another lesson. And Sanji hears this, and before he says what he has to say, he says, what did I gain? So Sanji begins explaining what he gained by using his Germa suit before, and essentially he got an exoskeleton, he got more muscle, he got speed. The unofficial had strength and something else, but he essentially says with all of this, including my armament active training that I had before, this should allow me to use even hotter flames, and he stops using Diablo Jambe and he switches to Ifrit Jambe. Ifrit is kind of an Arabic folklore creature. It's also from Final Fantasy. For those who play games would know it's a summon in that or a god in that. But yeah, Sanji basically says with all of these abilities his flames are hotter and his attacks will be stronger because he could have faster acceleration, heavier weight. And now again Sanji overheard what Queen said about his divine punishment, so he figures out that what happened earlier wasn't him hitting a lady and forgetting what happened, but it was Queen being invisible and hitting her. And Sanji is pissed off and he says, "So you are the one who did that, aren't you?" And he proceeds to decide that, you know what, that's terrible of you, Queen. I'm going to hurt you, you're a piece of crap. And Sanji brings down Collier Coup on the Queen's head, smashing it into the ground. We see in this little panel here that both his legs are on fire. Queen then reappears and Osome is like, "Oh, Master Queen." But Sanji then goes on a tear and begins hitting Queen with a bunch of different French name attacks that I'm not even going to pretend I could pronounce, and kicking him all over the field. And then he leads up into a final attack called Boef Burst, kicking Queen and sending him flying and on fire. And this is essentially, you'll remember when Sanji fought the Fishman way back in the beginning of One Piece in Along Park, how he went on a tear there and he was hitting the Fishman with a bunch of like combos one after the next and sent him flying. Similar to this. This is basically Sanji having his moment here doing that again. But yeah, pretty sure the anime will do justice to this. And the chapter ends there. Break next week, so no chapter next week. So now let's discuss a little bit. So essentially, Queen has the Infinity Gauntlet with each of the siblings, Niji, Ichiji, Yonji, Sanji. He hasn't had Reiju yet. But I believe her power is a devil fruit, so that's probably why, but we have to wait to see if he has an ability for her and one for Judge. But it was a good chapter, pretty quick, Sanji leveling up. And essentially what Sanji is doing to Queen is what everybody expected Zoro to do to King, but it's not happening. But yeah, chapter is pretty good, pretty quick. Not much outside of a fight, Sanji realizing he's still human, he didn't actually hit the girl. But yeah, it was a fight chapter. Can't really get into much detail about that. Queen has all of the Germa tech inside him, he managed to copy it somehow. So let's see if this attack from Sanji or these flurry of attacks manage to put Queen down, if he gets up next chapter and goes berserk or something. Because I feel like Queen's character has been kind of underwhelming throughout the arc. He's goofy, yes, people like that, but I mean as a fighter he's supposed to be a second commander, and so far he's kind of been a letdown in my opinion at least. So let's see if they could fix that. But yeah, it was a good chapter nonetheless. Let's hope the next one is better. The next one should be on the 19th because none next week, and I'll see you all for that review when it drops. Bye.